Hey folks, imagine this. This guy moves into a really strange house, but what he didn't know was that he would have a special visitor because this is the movie Dreams at the Witch's house. So, hit that like button and subscribe because today is going to be different. So let's recap. Jack is moving, but he's looking for a cheap place to live, and due to his difficult situation, the only place he could find was an unwelcoming house. It seemed like it hadn't been renovated for over 50 years, and just this beginning would be reason enough to leave. But, being the warrior he is, he decides to knock to talk to the manager, but nobody answers, which is strange, so he decides to go in. When he's about to knock on the manager's door, an old man keeps looking at him, and the manager, who doesn't seem friendly at all, starts showing him the room and says he can't have pets. Jack says that's fine because he's a student. Now, the manager is worried because students usually don't have much money, and he doesn't have many options. When they get to the room, it's a peaceful place, and the manager makes a suspicious face and says he won't find anything cheaper than this. Jack starts to settle in, but during the night, he hears someone screaming through the house as if they were performing a ritual, and he doesn't understand anything. The next day, he's studying architecture when he starts hearing a strange sound coming from the wall, like rats, but he doesn't find anything. The problem is, when he looks at his project, it seems distorted, as if something has changed. Suddenly, a woman starts screaming in desperation, and he rushes to help. When he gets there, she's being attacked by a huge rat, and she's still holding her little child. He goes to complain to the manager, but he says the house is old, and it's normal to have rats, so there's nothing to be done. The old man in the next door apartment just watches strangely. When he goes back to talk to the woman, she offers him some tea as gratitude, but he says he needs to study and goes back to his room. Little does he know, she wanted to play the throat game as a form of gratitude, but Jack is too young to understand. Jack tries to study all night, but he falls asleep, and that bizarre rat appears. The problem is, this rat has a face, and it tells him that she's coming for him. He doesn't understand who she is or why a rat has a face and is talking to him. Then, he runs to a hole in the wall, and when he looks, someone knocks on the door. It's the neighbor from next door who can't sleep. She asks if he wants a cup of tea, and since he has nothing better to do, he agrees. And here's where the twist comes in. She invites him to talk, but it's not what he expected. She starts saying that they would have to leave the next day because they don't have the money to pay. Jack, being naive, gives her money to stay for another month until she finds a job. The problem is, it's hard to work with a puppet. She says it's late and sends him back to his room. He goes back to studying late at night because exams are coming up, but that old man starts making a really strange sound. He goes downstairs to confront him, and he realizes the old man is praying. The old man asks if he saw the rat, and Jack gets scared because he thought it was a dream. But the old man insists it was real. He explains that when the talking rat appears, it means she is coming. The old man says the witch is hunting, so he needs to stay vigilant and not fall for her tricks. That's why he prays at night to keep her away from him. Despite the upcoming exams, Jack thinks the old man is just imagining things. The next day, he's coming back from college, and his next-door neighbor appears all happy, saying she just got a job interview. She asks him to take a look at her small puppet. This is when we see that a mother is in distress, because if she sells this puppet, she can pay for her entire college tuition. He notices that the young man is wearing a cross around his neck, realizing he's better protected than 99% of the characters in this movie. Jack ends up falling asleep once again because the life of a student isn't easy. He's sleeping, but a suspicious woman appears in his room. She starts looking at the puppet, and when he looks at her, he realizes she looks very much like the mother of the young man. She takes off her robe in front of him, and they start looking at each other differently. Jack approaches her because he thinks this is his opportunity. However, in the midst of their interaction, the woman starts scratching his back and transforms into a bizarre old woman. He wakes up, thinking it was a nightmare. The real mother appears in the middle of the night, asking what happened. He tells her it was a very realistic nightmare and wonders why, if she was at home the whole time, she didn't take care of her son. He asks for some flour and starts sprinkling it around the bed to make sure no one has been there. He tries to take off his shirt but starts feeling a pain in his back, not knowing why. We, however, know why. It's because the blood was flowing due to what happened being real. Once again, he tries to sleep, but he hears someone under the bed. Curiosity always gets the best of him. He looks under the bed, and suddenly, he's being pulled to stop being a fool. He finds himself in a ritual room, and a woman hands him a feather to write in an old book. The talking rat bites his arm to make him sign with his own blood. The problem is, when he wakes up once again, he's not at home. He had written several things in a book, almost like a tutorial for a time ritual, and there were many strange things written. To make things worse, a woman appears because he was in the city library's restricted area. He tries to explain that he sleepwalks, but she becomes desperate as he's only in his underwear. He runs away. Hey folks, if you've made it this far and don't want to fall for the old witch's trap, leave a like and subscribe with the bell on. Our goal for today is 1K likes to ramp up the terror level on the channel. Now, let's continue. Jack can't stand those nightmares anymore. He knows the house is dangerous and tries to convince his mother to leave with the young man. However, she starts to think he's crazy and threatens to call the police. He goes to his room to research, realizing that somehow the witch can access a temporal portal to snatch people and take them to her time. The old man appears to talk to him and explains he's been in the house all this time, trying to stop her. But, with a child living there, she became stronger, using them for her rituals. Jack is starting to believe him now. The old man shows him the same marks on his back and reveals that when it happened to him, he tried to tell others, but they all thought he was crazy. The old man hands him a cross for protection, and now Jack wants to know what's happening. He starts breaking the wall where the talking rat lived, but the manager appears, realizes he's acting crazy, and quickly leaves. This is where the big mystery begins. Jack finds a secret passage and starts hearing someone calling his name. As he reaches the end of the tunnel, there's a secret room, and the witch is waiting for him. To make matters worse, he can't seem to control his body. She grabs the young man and hands him a dagger, as he needs to perform the ritual. Jack, although nervous, manages to regain control. She becomes desperate because she's never seen someone have so much control before. She tries to escape, but he manages to stab her in the eyes, making her alert. He saves the puppet, but due to his injuries, he can't protect it from the talking rat. The rat bites his neck, and the mother starts hearing the sound. She becomes frantic. To worsen the situation, when they open the door, the police see the room covered in blood and Jack with the young man. It would be quite difficult to explain what was happening. Jack tries to explain that he couldn't save the young man, but there's nobody there. He is taken to a facility for dangerous individuals with mental disorders. He tells the whole story and says they need to stop the witch's rat. However, the doctor tells him he would be confined there for the rest of his life. This is where things get mysterious. The CSI guy appears with some evidence, showing that there were bones at the location that were over 500 years old. The only explanation would be what Jack said, but the detective states that even if it's true, no one would ever believe him, and he'd likely rot in the facility. To make things worse, Jack starts screaming in desperation. When they enter his cell, that talking rat is inside him, preventing him from telling anyone anything. Everyone sees the talking rat, but now it's deceased. In the end, he was telling the truth. And there are two things we can learn from this story. First, if you're a student, you're in trouble. Second, if a talking rat talks to you, it's because you're a student and you're hanging out with the wrong crowd, because things have taken a toxic turn. So, leave that humble like, and subscribe with the bell on, because if we hit 1,000 likes here, we'll have a special video. Now, I'm out of here.
I walk a lonely road, the only one that I have ever known. Don't know where it goes, but it's home to me and I walk alone.